Hello and welcome back to episode 10 of our War and Peace Quarantine Edition 50 pages a day read through. Congratulations, you have made it to page 500, 10 days straight. If you are reading along with us, congratulations. And
And if you're lagging a little behind, perfectly okay. We'll wait.
well, you are not lagging a little behind if you're watching this, because most likely they are only watching this if they're at this page. Otherwise, spoilers abound. Let's talk about what happened. The main thing that happened in these 50 pages is the love affair between an old man and a young girl.
Old is relative. He's, what, 33?
Yeah, old for her, and she's 13, 14?
16?
Oh, she's 16 already? Yeah,
She's
I guess,
16,
that's probably right.
actually.
Yeah, okay.
And her mom married at that age.
Right.
She says that.
That's right.
The Countess Rostova.
So the widower, Prince Andrei, has caught the attention and vice versa of what is her name? Why am I forgetting?
Natasha.
Of young Natasha Rostov, and Natasha attended her first ball, a New Year's Eve fancy grand ball, and it was full of life and light, and seeing the world through Natasha's eyes is definitely the happiest perspective that Tolstoy gives us of any character in the book. We would all like to be. Go ahead.
She is his secret weapon,
Yeah.
And he fires it in these pages because you can't have a really long work without holding something back in reserve that you can bring in to really inject some juice into things. I was thinking of a parallel in modern times to that, and I thought of Gollum coming into the beginning of the Two Towers in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And suddenly
Natasha
you have this
and Gollum, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Natasha is Tolstoy's Gollum.
Yeah.
She is his special effect in this.
When things get too dark
case.
and you need something fun and light and full of comedy and excitement. Sure. So yeah, Natasha attends her first grand ball. She sees the widower Prince Andrei, a widower of 5 years now. Plenty of time to move on. Sure, he's ready. She's ready. And
the oak has blossomed.
Yes, the oak has blossomed. She definitely symbolizes spring to him and to Tolstoy, and a rebirth and a coming back to life. And when he sees her, he's filled with the antithesis of his antipathy, and falls for her and wants to marry her. And then he goes to his dad, the very rational and emotionally unaware and religious man who says, I don't want you to do this. Wait a year and see if you still like her. And he clearly hopes that he won't, or that maybe Natasha will fall for somebody else in that year. But Andrei sticks with his father's wishes and goes and proposes and says, we have to wait a year. And Natasha says, oh, this is terrible. How could I do that? But whatever, I give myself to you. Whatever you need, I will do. 6 months passes pretty quickly. And then he renegotiates with his dad and says, how about we make it 9 months? Because I still love her. And his dad says, oh, what do I care? Just marry her right now, whatever. And he goes, maybe I'll marry Maria's friend. And how would you like that?
Yes, the one that Anatoly flirted with.
That's right. Maybe I'll marry her. How do you like that? And then, maybe I'll give her all my money. And, you do whatever you want, buddy. Might be a hollow threat, but we'll see. But then we're left on a bit of a cliffhanger there of what's going to happen, because Natasha is waiting forever for her prince to return.
There are some wonderful sentences in the scenes between Andrei and Natasha where everything turns on a pin. And feelings rise and fall and spin around 180 degrees in a way that's incredibly unpredictable. Andrei, the moment he proposes to Natasha, has a complete change of heart.
Yeah.
It's almost like at that moment his love turns from romantic to filial. And he starts caring for her in a completely different way. He starts fearing for her well-being.
And her whole family, too.
Yes, rather than desiring her openly. in Bondarchuk's War and Peace, that 8-hour Russian
Yeah.
adaptation, that moment is pivotal. And interesting enough, I think Bondarchuk completely misinterprets it,
Hmm.
because when that scene plays out at the end of the second section of the 4-part film that's called Natasha, when I was watching it a few years ago, I really did feel like this is Andrei Rostov falling out of love
Right.
in the moment that she agrees
Yeah.
to have him. I don't think that is the case there. Do you,
No,
Len?
no. I think he's, if anything, holds close to his love for her as sort of a lifeline against depression and darkness and nihilism, and he very much wants his future to be one of hope and spring and life, and that to him, I think, is married tightly to Natasha.
Yeah, but at that moment, I think he realizes how fragile it is, and how
Mm-hmm.
his first duty is to protect that,
Mm-hmm.
which is why actually he tells her that he would completely understand that if she finds someone else or
Right.
changes her mind
Right.
during the year that he's away. And even they don't publicize the fact
Well, they
that
keep it
they
a
are
secret just to
engaged.
to withhold any possible future shame that would come of it falling apart. Yeah.
That's right. And he recommends that if Natasha ever runs into any trouble, that she should turn to a friend of his, our dear big fat
Pierre.
Pierre.
Yes. Pierre is a bit missing in this section. He's still lost and confused and feeling like maybe he made a mistake putting all his chips in with the Freemasons. We do get an interesting scene with Maria, who has this almost prophetic vision of her future, which ends up becoming the actual author Tolstoy's future, where she abandons everything and becomes a pilgrim wearing rags and walking with her few possessions on her back, spending her last days out in the world trying to do good and be pure, and then dying. Which, spoiler alert, is exactly how Tolstoy ended his life. He, at the end of his life, gave up everything he had and put on rags and walked out of Yasnaya Polyana, where he lived, his estate, and boarded a train. And 2 weeks later, died at a train station not far from his house, and called upon his wife to come and be with him as he died in the train station. So he ended his life much as Maria dreams of ending hers, as giving up everything they owned and forsaking everything other than a relationship with God, and dying feeling pure and basically a homeless, pure pilgrim.
In that letter, Maria also expresses what to me is a very blood chilling sentiment of a kind of Christianity where she says, "Oh, maybe it's good that my sister in law died when she did
Mm,
because she could have been a terrible mother.
yeah,
And this way, God took her before she could commit that sin."
sure.
And I've heard that from people in my life a couple of times,
Mm,
express a similar sentiment that I would rather die, or isn't it nice that I didn't have the chance to maybe do something unchristian or ungodly in a particular situation. I always found that to be very alien.
mm,
And again, Tolstoy here has the capacity to crystallize something that I feel people feel and think and still in a way that particularly hurts me
sure,
personally,
sure. Well,
which is a gift.
we end our 50 pages with a long, gilded, ornate, maybe overly described wolf hunt. I guess if you're interested in wolf hunts, it's probably like reading Moby Dick if you're interested in whale hunting. Just a ridiculous level of detail that we get on every facet of wolf hunting. And we're cut off right before the peak of the beautiful moment of the wolf hunting, which is a famous moment of Natasha laughing wildly and saying she's as happy as she'll ever be, which you will read in about 2 pages. I think we're a couple pages from that, but it is the moment right after this wolf scene, at the end of this wolf scene, when I think of War and Peace, it is I don't know why, but it is always the number one moment I think of when I think of this book throughout my life. It's this scene with Natasha in the carriage with her brother, which we're about to get to. Not that it's wildly important in the book, but something about it has always stuck with me.
Before that, Nikolai prays to God, please let me make a difference.
Yes.
Please give me something.
Yes.
That I never had on the battlefield. I never had at a card table.
Yeah.
That is a very interesting moment.
He wants to kill an aged wolf, a seasoned wolf.
And to me, that's an interesting prayer that a lot of people feel at sporting events.
Yes. Well, he wants to be a hero, right? I mean, he wants to be great. That's all, And I think
this is
go ahead.
This is a moment of very poignant self-awareness from him.
Yeah.
I don't really remember him having that kind of honesty with himself.
Yeah, that he's this shallow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and begging God for some kind of success.
Yeah. Please let the Mets win the World Series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, Tolstoy crystallizes something that is still relevant.
Yeah, and we know how Tolstoy feels about people who put their own ego and their self first. It's usually not a trait that he rewards. But it is an honest human trait, and one that he is impossible to avoid in life. I would think he would say. All right.
We have a couple of game nights in this section as well.
Yeah, they play Boston, which maybe it's a card game we should learn and have a Game Brain episode about the card game of Boston.
That's right. It's a type of bridge.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting party that Berg and Vera threw, where everything was about appearances.
Yeah.
Everything was about things being just so, the conversation sounding just so. It wasn't about the substance or the relationships. It was about, can we have the kind of night, the kind of supper, the kind of cotillion that would be acceptable.
Right.
And one of the heartbreaking things about it is that Pierre was there, and it was a moment of high comedy in Tolstoy. And then a few pages later, Andre went to, and I keep forgetting the real character's name, but you described him very well as Dick Cheney last time we spoke.
Semyonov, I think.
Yeah, and it was like
yeah.
high government officials and big affairs of state and political things being decided. It was equally fake. Everyone was making jokes that didn't quite land. Yeah. Nobody was honest. Nobody was earnest. It was still about appearances.
Yeah.
And this was a moment for Andre where he has a political disillusionment, where he says, no, I cannot do something for my country. That's another dead end.
Yeah. Yeah, there is not much love and life in these social settings and much more in nature and in family and personal relationships. All right, well, we'll pick up tomorrow with 550 and see how we fare. I bid you
we
adieu.
See the midpoint.
Yes. Oh, yes, it will. We'll basically be at the midpoint. Yep, we're almost halfway there. Read on, Macduff, and we will talk tomorrow.
A joy, a pleasure.
Bye-bye.